It feels like it's been ages since I did a dunk for the channel. I do dunks fairly regularly, we're doing daily sneaker videos, even on the weekends, 7 days a week, every single day. So, when I say it's been a while, we're talking maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I think the last one was either the street markets or it was the curry highs or the opposite curry highs, or the inverse curry highs, I think people were calling them, but they had another name as well. So it's been a while. And then on come these guys. Didn't see them coming at all. I was just checking out for videos, and it was actually from Sole Supplier in the UK that I saw these guys first, and then back sort of checked it out. Now most of the places haven't got a drop date for these guys yet. They're talking like March 2021 or just spring 2021 and stuff like that. But Sole Supplier have gone ahead and said March 22nd 2021. They've put a date on it, and I have no idea if that's accurate or not. But you know what, these guys that run these websites and social media and stuff, they kind of know what they're talking about. So it might be the Sole Supplier the first to tell us that this latest in a line of absolutely iconic dunks is coming to us. Now we're talking like, I think it's probably been 18 months since I saw a dunk, and I was kind of like, not sure about that one, and because they're just keeping a really high level of content, really stellar sneakers time and time again. And then here we are with this Wasted Youth tie-up, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's got some extra hits on there, not just in terms of the branding, but also the construction of the shoe. And we'll get into all that today as we take a close-up look at today's shoe, which is the Nike SB Dunk Low Pro Wasted Youth. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel day. This is my niche upstream all day, my niche media design. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And this one right here is an absolutely beautiful shoe. And like I said before, the title screen on this video, there's two parts to it that I really want to get into. There's the materials part of it, and then there's the branding part of it, because it's great on both sides of the line. And I can't wait to bring you all that stuff today and talk about the hits on here that make it one of the most unique dunks I've seen in quite a while. But it is a dunk, an SB Dunk Low Pro, and it took me a while to sort of work out which one it was going to be, and I finally found the tongue tags on there to tell me it was an SB Dunk Low Pro, because sometimes channels get it wrong. Things like Sneaker News once had one up, it was just a straight up Nike Dunk Low, but they had it up there as an SB Dunk Low, things like that. But I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this guy's a Nike SB Dunk Low Pro, and you can take that one to the bank. What we're going to do is go through it bit by bit, but I'm going to start at the most obvious place, which you'd think was, the place I should start. I will start there, but it was the last thing I noticed on these shoes, which is kind of a bit sort of strange, like it's the major piece of branding on the shoe that sort of jumps right off at most people out there. But actually it was the last thing I got to. It was an afterthought. I was like, oh, I forgot to mention that mental piece of branding that you've got in the shoes. And what we're talking about is over, and I'm pretty sure it's over the top of one of the swooshes, not in place of them. And I'm thinking about, there's a skateboarder's Dunk Highs, and I'll be able to find, it's Oski? And I'll be able to find the shoe, and I'll put it up behind me here, and you can see that the swoosh has been turned into a shark. And the way that the front end of the swoosh turns in, like there's a curve on there, is the shark's teeth. But I don't think that's what's happening with these guys. I'm pretty sure there's a swoosh underneath, and over the top of it you've got that beautiful red rose with the white stem streaking out the back of it. Now it could have been that they changed it into the swoosh. That would have been a cool little detail on the shoes, but I don't think that's what they went for. They've just gone for that overlay, and that's the main sort of feature on the shoe. And I can't believe that was the last thing I kind of looked at. It was almost an afterthought for me, because there's so much more on the shoe that I absolutely love. So I'm going to start, I think I'll start at the heel and work my way forward, actually, because the heel has two very unique bits on it. One that's kind of like, if you know your dunks, it's a bit laughable, and the other is a unique feature that I haven't seen on a dunk ever before. So, but that's not to say it hasn't been on a dunk before, because I'm no genius at this, I'm no encyclopedia at this. But what I'm talking about is the back of the shoes. We're looking at the heels right here, and the two major things that I want to pull on. Actually, there's a third as well, but I'll start with the first two that I was thinking about. The first one is the top, the branding panel up there. It says Wasted in one, Youth in another. One of my favorite things in shoes is when they have different stuff on the left and the right shoe, because it makes me feel like they've actually taken the time to think about it. They haven't just churned out the opposite of the two shoes. They've given it a little bit extra thought, which takes a little bit extra money, but that tells you they've really thought about the shoe, and it's got some quality behind it. So you've got Wasted on one and Youth on the other. But the funny thing about that is that it's sort of, I don't know, if you know, like I said, if you know your dunks, you'll know what I'm talking about, is that Very often, the Nike branding on the back of Dunks doesn't quite fit, and the E is sort of lopsided, and it just sort of hunkers down a little bit because it doesn't quite fit in the branding panel there. But Nike is a 4-letter word. Wasted is a 6-letter word, and Youth is a 5-letter word, but they both fit nicely in the branding panel there. So it's kind of, to me, it's just a little bit funny that the regular branding, which is shorter than these two words, doesn't usually fit in the branding panel, and this with that extra bit of branding, a bit longer words, actually does fit just fine. But still, it's a great detail. Black branding panel, white Wasted Youth on the top of that to give you that beautiful branding from the company and the collaboration. And then below that, we've got two unique things that I've never seen before in Dunks. Not to say they haven't been there before, just that I've never seen them before, but I think they're pretty unique. And the first one is that sort of, it's almost like a bull's nose ring. I called it a hang tag or hang tab or hang hook or something, but whatever it is, it's a metal loop directly below the branding panel there that will give you some option for, hanging these guys up or carrying them, attached to a backpack or something like that. So it's a design feature that, like I say, I've never seen on any of the Dunk lines before, and is maybe unique to the shoe. And then below that, you've got a really interesting set of red, slightly oversized stitching hits on both the left and the right shoes. But the interesting thing about them is they're sort of lopsided, and if you really look at them, you get kind of disorientated because they aren't very square, and they give you a kind of, I don't know, because the flatness of the way the midsole meets the upper, and then the disjointedness of the way this stitching is on the back here, it gives that kind of funky sort of disorientated feel to them. So all three together, very unique back end to this shoe. The high up Wasted Youth branding panel, the metal loop that's just directly below that, and then below that the extra sort of slightly oversized red stitching on these guys. Now we've already talked about the red stitching on there, and we've already talked about the swooshes. Why don't we crash those two things together and have a look at one of the regular swooshes that doesn't have that red rose on there. I don't know which one it'll be, but basically there's a lot to look at. Doesn't look like it. You're looking at it and you're thinking, well, it's a black swoosh, but you know what? There's a whole lot more than that. First things first, it's extremely soft leather, and it's on the canvas upper, which is one of the major features of this shoe, the way the canvas and the leather play off of each other. But on top of that, it's kind of an irregular swoosh. You can see it's not a clean machine finished swoosh. It's got a sort of rough edge around it, and then on top of that, the stitching is fascinating because the stitching itself holds the whole swoosh to the shoe, but then at certain intervals you've got some extra stitching in there, and that slightly oversized stitching, and it's just at certain intervals. It's not consistent around the whole outside edge of the swoosh. It's just a couple of hits on this. So there's three different things going on this swoosh, not just one. The sort of unfinished feel to it, the materials themselves that are beautiful soft materials, and then that stitching with the unique effect going on there. And that takes us to the next sort of element as you go forward on the shoe and get to the toe box, and you can really see that canvas and leather playing off of each other with that extra rectangular hits down low, or coming out of I think they're coming out of the midsole if I remember rightly. So you've got the toe box that wraps around the front, and then you've got these extra, there's probably two that I can show you on the green screen behind me here that come up, extra little panels on there, so the leather and the mesh sit side by side. And that's exactly the same thing that happens up on the eye stays. So we go up and have a look at those eye stays there, and if I remember rightly, the eye stays themselves are canvas, but then at the very top there's one little panel in there that's made of leather. And again, it's those little hits on this shoe that I think elevate it up to a higher level than most Dunks out there. It's a great collaboration that keeps that huge standard that the Dunks have had throughout the last 18 months going. It's a beautiful shoe, and it's got all the right hits, unique in itself, but still very much at its core an SB Dunk low. And speaking of at its core, we'll have a look at the lower part of the shoe and look at the outsole of these guys. Sort of very deep, dark charcoal feel to these guys. I don't think we can go to black, but it's almost black. It's just enough grey in there to call it charcoal, but it's almost black. And then right in the middle, you've got that branding panel in the middle of the outsole in white to give it that contrast, which goes with the midsole, which is also in white. So back out, having a look at the two shoes, the left and the right shoes together. Absolutely stunning SB Dunk Low Pro. Phenomenal job from the Nike line and also from the guys over at Wasted Youth. It's a beautiful shoe, perfect for what's been going on at the Dunk line for the last 18 months or so. And these guys are going to be massively hot. If you can get your hands on these guys, you'll be doing awesomely well, especially with that rose and its white stem branding on the side there, because usually when it comes to collaborations and dunks, they put the branding right back at the heel in a small little place of its own, but that whole swoosh sort of effect with the rose and the white stems on theirs is much bigger than you'd normally see with dunk branding. So it's very, very cool, very, very unique, and a very, very big yes for me. I think this is going to be one of the biggest shoes of the season, one of the biggest dunks in a long time. So get out there, go grab these guys, and if Sole Supplier are right, it's March 22nd, you'll be getting your hands on these guys. A beautiful shoe, highly recommend it. For now though, time for me to sign off and finish this one up. It's Sunday night, the 14th of March. Don't know when this video will go up. It could be anyone between Monday and Wednesday, for example, but certainly about a week before the drop date. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys checking out the content. The only thing to do is to finish up the video and say the same thing that I say at the end of every single video, which is I do this every single day. So you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.